I saw this video on a $682 garage setup that produces over $1 million. Now, if you know me, you know I love an efficient use of capital. Yes, I do. So I thought we would check this out and see what this guy's got to say.
With this setup right here, we're able to make over 1,000 units a day out of our garage, and it only cost us $600 to get it set up. Today, I'm gonna walk you through all of it. Like all manufacturing jobs, everything starts with a giant drum of raw materials. This is a 55-gallon drum that we get raw materials in, and these are 35-gallon drums that we store the material in. How do we mix it, you might ask? 5-gallon buckets and a drill press. Let me show you. This bad boy right here is an old school Harbor Freight drill press. I can put a 5-gallon bucket on the stand, chuck in the mixing bit, turn it on to get my stuff mixed up like that.
Now, this is a really important thing that I think a lot of founders of small businesses, startups, and everything in between don't realize. It just matters if it works. It doesn't matter if it's pretty. It doesn't matter if you're proud to flex on it. It doesn't matter if it's the name brand. If it works and it's legal and it's licensed and blah, blah, and even those, again, depending on what startup you're in and what business you're in and what state you're in and what the regulations are, again, you actually have to think through all these things, but luckily Google can really help you out. It works. Like if this thing was held together with duct tape and it produced $1 million a year, I'd be like, hey, I'll buy you more duct tape, or we can get a better machine, but should we get more like you think of output, you think of value, you think of production, you do not think of aesthetics, right? Again, if you're Apple, you do, like by all means, whatever. But for the average small business, you care if it works, if it's functional, if it costs too much, the basics.
Once everything's mixed up on the drill press, we dump it all in the storage tank so that it can be pumped out by our piston filler. Let me show you how that works. This is a pneumatic piston filler. It's kind of like a giant syringe. This is the intake hose. We shove it into the barrel of the Maker's Magic, and it pumps it all the way through this machine, out this head, into an empty jar.
Now, this is an important point. It's important to understand when's the right time to scale, right? I know founders that day one, they'd be thinking, oh, I got to get this because we're going to have so much supply coming through and all this. Is like, all right, whoa. Sure. I hope so. I hope that we're wrong and we're pissed because it's 3-day delivery and we really need it in 6 hours, right? Because we have so much demand coming in. But before you're going to make investments and before you're going to assume all this demand, can you prove it? Do you have thousands or hundreds of orders in queue that people have already prepaid? Do you have a wait list of people that are interested in buying your stuff? Have you seen your social media and your community and whatever you're doing to get demand for your business? Are you seeing it respond in the way that you want? If so, then you can make investments like this with a lot more confidence. Everything's a risk, so I don't assume anything is certain. Again, unless we literally have all the prepaids that we just have to facilitate and we buy this to help facilitate. But I'm sure before he was doing this, he was probably doing it manually and it was really cumbersome. But slowly, by learning and understanding and figuring out what worked, and I'm sure he tried out different machines, and some were more expensive and they sucked, and some were cheaper and they also sucked, and this happened to be the right quality at the right price. Like, there's all of these testing and in between. I highly doubt he woke up one day and are like, yep, this is exactly what I need and it's going to work like this and it'll fit right on my bench. Half the time people buy equipment and they don't check the sizes and they realize, oh, it's not going to fit in my garage or fit in the area of my garage I planned. Now I got to move everything around. Welcome to the friction of business.
Get a closer look. This is the intake hose. It comes into this junction and there is a one-way valve right here and a one-way valve right here. This piston in this cylinder goes back and forth and it pulls and then pushes. But it can only pull this direction and it can only push this direction. So once that's done, it dispenses right out of this head right here. We've got this giant box of empty jars. They come in boxes of 350. They're 8-ounce plastic jars. We get them from Uline. I'm sure there's cheaper, better places to get this stuff from, but just where we're getting it right now.
A lot of reasons to pick where you're getting your supplies from. Maybe it's a little bit more expensive, but maybe they deliver on time every time. Maybe they never run out of supply. Maybe they're really good at inventory management and figuring, and on their side, procurement and all the things they need in order to create the bottles that they end up giving to him. There's a lot that goes into these individual decisions. So it's always good to make do and try random stuff and figure out what's worked. But as you scale, figure out what you need at your scale. As an example, if this guy is pushing this product, again, I'm not even sure what it is, it looks like a glue type substance or something, but it's like if he's pushing this all across the United States, okay, maybe at this point, this individual company that's providing these bottles, maybe they can't service the whole region well. Maybe you need two suppliers. Maybe you have an East Coast supplier and a West Coast supplier. Well, now who handles the middle of the country? Well, is there enough demand? Like, notice I'm starting with questions. I'm not trying to assume answers, because I know that even if I think I'm right, there's always a better way. Kind of like how we said, I'm sure there's a better price. Yeah, but maybe that better price comes with an extra cost.
We also have a giant box of lids. The jars and lids are important because this is what holds our stuff. Let me show you how we fill it up. We'll place an empty jar underneath the head of the piston filler and press the button. That will dispense the perfect amount of fluid. We can control it with this magnetic switch right here and get the perfect amount every single time.
That quality control.
But a full jar without a lid is not good enough. Once we've dispensed it and filled the jar up to about right there, we grab one of our lids with the induction seal in it. We just simply tighten it up and then come over here to the induction sealer so we can put that really nice foil seal on it. We wanted a way to seal these foil lids so that we wouldn't have anything leak out when we were shipping stuff. It's really simple.
I bet you he had some stuff leak out when he was shipping some stuff, and then he went, oh, we need to fix this. This is going to be really bad for the customer, for our PR, for the long term of the business. And notice, maybe they didn't want to spend this money, but maybe he's like, hey, it's really going to be worth it. Now, he's making $1 million gross on this, it looks like. So I'm curious what the net is, but it looks pretty cheap as far as the supplies to facilitate.
You turn it on, you put this ice cream cone looking thing on top of your lid, and you press the button. You see this metal piece right in here? This is what reacts with the induction sealer. There's a thin coat of wax on the underside of this lid. When you cap it up and then heat up the foil, it melts the wax and sticks it to the jar, creating the seal. Really cool piece of technology. Really glad we bought it. This right here is our label roller. This is the MT30. I've looked for them online and I can't really find many of them with this arm on the top. This is the special stuff right here. Without this arm, it kind of doesn't work as well. Look for an MT30 on eBay or Vivor or even Amazon. I think you might be able to find them either used or new. You can see our labels are on a 3-inch core and they're set up on the back of the machine. The label gets fed through all of these little gizmos to get it in just the right.
This is the wonder of small business. Standing in your garage, surrounded by boxes, using a random machine that's 2 feet long and a foot wide, that your entire business relies on. Like, this is horrifying and incredibly, awesome at the same time. But when people think that like small business is beautiful and it's all this, like this guy's doing $1 million plus a year, I want you to look at this frame. Look at his surroundings. That is what one version of $1 million a year looks like. So do not worry about the state of your garage. Worry about the quality of your product, the quality of your customer's experience, your ability to push product well and get it out to market effectively. These are the things that matter.
Then when we're ready, we take the jar, we place it here, pull the arm down and crank the crank.
And
indicator says,
notice he's doing a manual crank. I bet you at a certain point, once he's moving enough of these, he's like, I should get one where I just drop it in, or one that feeds the bottle directly once it's done and it just wraps it anyway. Maybe I need to outsource that. Maybe I do it all myself. Maybe this is the in between. Maybe this is the end because he's just happy to have a business that makes $1 million a year. Like, people overlook the value of just having a business that does this much volume and finding the little ways to make it better. They always want to take the million. Why can't it make 100 million? It's like, well, why isn't your house 18 stories? Because sometimes 2 stories is enough. That's why.
We're done. And there you have it. A labeled jar of finished product. Once we have the jars completed, we begin packing them out in cardboard boxes or master cases. Each of our master cases is exactly the same. They all hold 72 units. They all weigh the same. They all look the same.
Standardizing is another part of this for planning shipping, for planning on calculating what's the cost of our shipping going to be, and also like the distribution, like literally getting it to there. I'm sure they're like, hey, how many boxes can we fit in this truck, or trucks that are this standard size, which I'm sure is standardized over markets.
It standardizes everything for us. Makes that especially easy when you're shipping stuff into Amazon. You can just scan the boxes and you know exactly how many units you're sending in. Plus, they have master case templates, so it's in your best interest to create master cases. And that's the entire process. That's how we make our Maker's Magic, which is a craft glue and a sealer. Now you might be curious, who am I and why am I doing this in my garage? My name's Evan and I'm the owner of Scorchmarker.
Hi, Evan.
We sell arts and craft supplies. Our mission is to make crafting easier. So we invent and develop products that make crafting easier. We started with this product right here. This is our Scorchmarker.
Very on theme for 2025. How big has crafting been? I saw on Instagram yesterday, I think it was, and it was like someone was on the train and they broke out their like knitting supplies, and then like a girl sat down and she like saw this other woman was knitting, and then she broke out her knitting supplies, and then this dude came and sat down and he saw her and he saw her, and then he brought out his knitting supplies, and everyone just started laughing. It's like we're in the day of arts and crafts, which I think is great. All the millennials are growing up and we still like fun, so we're like, hey, what am I gonna do? Like, I gotta feed my ADD and also, you know, have a good time. What's going on?
My wife and I invented this marker in my mom's garage. We created a wood-burning liquid. Put this liquid on wood, you heat it up with a heat gun, and it will burn your design directly into the wood.
Very clever. Very clever. So my grandfather was a carpenter, so I have a big appreciation for just all things woodworking, and how many videos I've seen just with my, you know, limited industry knowledge of seeing how they do wood burning. Brilliant. Talk about finding a problem and a clear solution. How many times have I seen my dad, who was like in contracting and all this stuff, how he used to have his pencil and be drawing stuff and be cutting things? Like, it just lends itself exactly to the modality that they're used to. I'm sure they have stencils, or maybe even later they can make it a spray, whatever. So it's just, and then all of a sudden now you can wood burn. Like, this is brilliant. I think the product market fit in terms of how well it fits to what the industry, how if I was making something, how I would use it immediately.
In the beginning of our business, I was making Scorchmarker liquid and filling up every single marker by hand with a syringe.
There it
is. It was crazy, but it's the only way I knew how to do it. So of course, when it came time to launch Maker's Magic, we got this small scale production line set up in the garage so that we could iterate quickly and not spend a ton of money getting set up.
Iterate quickly and not spend a ton of money getting set up. Brilliant points. You're going to need to iterate. Even something that you think is perfect is only 80% perfect. There's another 10%, another 20%. And then when you get to really good, then all of a sudden you realize there's a whole new world. Like, there's an infinitely tall list of mountain peaks. Just keep climbing. Just keep climbing.
It's natural to want to work with a manufacturer or a co-packer, but we didn't have 9 months and a bunch of money to get it all set up and
there it is.
We needed something now. So we went online and we bought all of this equipment and got everything set up in our garage. I was able to produce about 10,000 units before the co-packer was able to get everything put together and start producing units for us. Now they do about 20 to 50,000 units a month, and I don't have to do any of this.
There it is. This is his old setup, or, you know, it doesn't seem like, or maybe he has people come here and do this well, but it shows what scaling looks like. First, you're doing it horribly yourself in your kitchen with a syringe you bought from like Michael's or on Amazon or on some random sketchy website. Then you go to, hey, maybe I can find like a better syringe that'll let me fill like 6 of them at once. Or maybe I can find a thing that'll hold the syringes so it's easier and I can just go like just thump, 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 and like fill it all in. Maybe then I hire somebody who does the process efficiently. Maybe then I get a space for the process to be done inch by inch by inch by inch by inch by inch. And then all of a sudden over 6 months, people are like, hey, is your business going okay? It's like, yeah, we made 1,000 changes and now we're producing 500 units a month or whatever it might be.
But in the beginning, it was absolutely crucial. Had I not purchased this equipment and gotten my hands dirty, we might not be here. If you really think about it, I can take the raw materials, mix it up, fill one of these, label it, package it, and ship it out to the customer within a matter of hours. That is absolutely impossible any other way than doing it yourself. It gave us the momentum we needed to prove that people actually wanted the product and to get familiar with.
Switch momentum with validation or demand validation or problem validation, and you've got a startup, right? It's the same thing. He's like, I want to get it out there. And also, was the customer experience probably better because he was packaging stuff up himself, making sure that quality was just insanely high, and then sending it out himself and monitoring it? I bet you it's not that the co-packer is doing a bad job, but who's going to do it better than you when it's your business and your livelihood on the line? You know, you're going to really put in that effort.
How to make it. Once we learned how to make it, we could then tell the manufacturer, hey, just do it this way. We've already figured everything out. Not only were they stoked to work with us, but we came off super professional. This whole setup here that I showed you is not intended to last forever.
So many founders want to jump to the manufacturer, and notice the manufacturer, like you'd have to be having them think through stuff. And just because they're smart doesn't mean they know the intricacies of your business, your product, your solution, and even things that seem oh so similar. Those little nuances and little random things can be the difference between 5,000 packages, 5,000 produced a day, maybe 8,000 produced a day. And you're like, Aaron, is that big? Yeah, it's a huge difference. It's more than 50%. Yeah, it's a big difference in your life.
It was just a temporary solution. And for $600, I think it was absolutely worth it. I'll leave links in the description for you on all this stuff so you can pick it up. Now, if you're anything like me, you're also selling a product online. As we've been growing the business and starting to figure some stuff out, I've been very keenly aware of how lonely I am. There just aren't a lot of people that do this. It's one of the reasons why I make videos, is to attract people like you so we can become friends. And eventually, when you're ready, you can come hang out in my membership, you can hang out with my people, you can hang out with me, we can grow, and we can learn together. If I can help you in any way, I absolutely will. My name's Evan. Thank you for watching. Be good to future you.
Thanks, Evan. Great video. Really helpful feedback. I love how transparent he was about the progress. And I think that especially if you're a founder working in the manufacturing, like that consumer goods, this is a brilliant, really good example of what it means to start small, incrementally get better, incrementally get bigger, and use your past success as the foundation for your future success. So great job, Evan. And hopefully this helped you guys as much as it helped me. Peace.